What's up, everybody? Matt McQueenie of the Mix Minus Podcast. It is Thursday, August 29th. There are only a few days left in what is basically considered summer, which is August, right? We head into September, and I know September, summer goes through September 22nd or 21st or so, but we don't consider that until really the end of summer being this coming Labor Day weekend. That is the sort of official end or unofficial end of summer, just as Memorial Day weekend is the sort of official beginning. You have that nice 3-month stretch of summer, being late May for Memorial Day into the very beginning of September for Labor Day. I usually get a little bit melancholy in the summer. I always look forward to the summer, but when it actually comes down to it and you get into the summer, I often just feel very much like everything else is going on without me. And when I'm on vacation, I'm sort of okay, but I still just, I like a lot of things going on in the world, and then I kind of find my relaxation within that. I enjoy knowing everything is moving forward and I can kind of step in and step off. But when everyone's kind of off and everyone is taking it easy, that tends to make me a little bit melancholy. This summer's been a little different because I did take 2 classes as I began my MBA program at Rutgers. So that has actually given me that feeling of motion. I was always doing work each week, and it made my summer a little more enjoyable than usual. I know it sounds weird to say that I don't enjoy summer as much as others, because I really do look forward to it. And I always look forward to it. And I love sort of the beginning of summer. I love that Memorial Day period. I love when we have the anticipation of summer coming. But once we get into it, I just sort of feel like things come to a stop. They come to a dead stop. School has helped that, though. And school took me through much of the summer, right up until mid-August. I think my classes ended around August 15th, so I've had 2.5 weeks here or so before my next semester kicks back in, which will actually be the day after Labor Day. This semester coming, I have a Monday and a Tuesday class. Monday will obviously be Labor Day, so I will not have class that day, so I will start up Tuesday, but Monday and Tuesday going forward. Last semester was Tuesday and Wednesday. There's probably a plus and minus to all of it. I kind of liked the Tuesday and Wednesday because you always had right up until that Monday to kind of procrastinate and do things to the end. But I'm going to enjoy Monday and Tuesday, I think, as well, because it's going to give me more of a feeling of the week still before me when I'm dropped out after Tuesday. I'll still have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you'll have the weekend to really get anything done that you weren't able to get done. It's going to be interesting to see with football starting up. I'm trying to get the Picks podcast going with Tim Castano. We'll see if we can get that scheduled. Have to get it. Have to get those picks in. I know everybody's waiting for it. Just kidding. But it's going to be a lot of fun. School has really given me a feeling of, not meaning, but it's giving me a feeling of momentum and forward motion and community. And it's just been something that's been very valuable. But summer's been different this year. I did actually go in mid-August or early August to our yearly trip to Wildwood Crest, go down to the Port Royal Hotel. The interesting wrinkle this year was because my classes were Tuesday and Wednesday, and because that was the week just before finals, I did not want to miss any class time there. I only missed 1 class this entire semester, and that was to go to the Stanhope House on June 12th to go see one of the great bands of my teenage years, for me, called Ignite, a melodic hardcore band from Southern California. Loved Ignite. Couldn't believe they'd be playing at the Stanhope House. I've had about 1 show a year at the Stanhope House, which is only like 25 minutes from where I live, right off of Route 80 in Stanhope, New Jersey. A nice little old roadhouse, I think 19th century. I mean, late 1800s, I believe this place started up. It's had a lot of jazz legends come through there, blues legends, but now they kind of do a lot of cover shows, a lot of different kinds of bands, a lot of kind of second market New Jersey locations for bands, and I enjoy it, though. I saw Madball the year before, and I got to see Ignite this year. If I continue to get to see one band a year there who meant something to me, that's a pretty good thing, only 25 minutes from home. So that was the only class I missed, and it was for my accounting class. But early August, we were going to Wildwood, and the trip is Wednesday to Monday. And so I was not going to be able to go Wednesday because my class would be Wednesday night. And I'll tell you what, I was kind of excited about the proposition. Not that I don't want to be with my family, but it was going to be a little bit of an interesting independence for me. My wife and kids and her family left for the shore on that Wednesday morning, and then I kind of just went into work. And afterwards, I went to class. I picked up a little food, and then what I was going to do was, because I'm in downtown Newark and live in Sparta. So Sparta's 45 minutes at that late at night, 45 minutes from where I was. It's 40 miles, pretty much on the dot. And so that would have been 40 miles to drive back home to Sparta with my family all gone from there. And then it would have been adding another 40 minutes to the trip down to Wildwood the next morning. So what I considered doing, I felt like an old coach after a tough game who wants to get in and watch film. I decided I'm going to sleep in the office that night. And a lot of people said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's awful." And I'm like, no, I'm cool with it. I can be really cool with weird situations. I don't know. It's just something about my personality. I kind of find my little groove. I find my place, my nook, and I'm happy. I look forward to those kind of opportunities. So what I did was I was going to have my class from 6 to 9:30, and the office is only 5 minutes from school. So I went to the Whole Foods here in Newark. We've had a Whole Foods here maybe about a year, maybe more, and in this old Haynes building, which I think was an old prison, and then it was an old shopping center. But it's a really nice renovated building here in downtown Newark, part of the renaissance of the city. And so I said to myself, I'm going to go in there, I'll get dinner. And there's a new kind of wine place across from this Whole Foods called Cool Vines. And I said, I'm going to go in there. I'll get some wine. I'm going to be on my own. I'm excited. I was going to sleep on this nice little daybed couch in my dad's office. You know, I'm 9 floors up overlooking New York City. It's a pretty good apartment if you think about it, even though it's an office space. But he's got about a 50-inch TV mounted on the wall in there, got my iPad, got good internet. So I was actually looking forward to this situation. So I went over to Whole Foods, got myself a little chicken teriyaki bowl, went over to the Cool Vines and picked out a nice half bottle of a Bordeaux. Haven't really had Bordeaux before, but the bottle looked nice, and I thought, hey, let's give it a shot. And I brought those back to the office, and I said, you know what, I'll have them after class. Went to the class, went about my day, went about the class, and then headed back to the office. And man, I just enjoyed it. My solitude, my alone time. I had a half bottle of wine, had my teriyaki bowl. I was in heaven. And then what I was going to do was I was going to get up really early the next morning and try to work out, maybe go to the New York Sports Club in town in Newark, or figure out something else. But I ended up drinking this bottle of wine, and then you know how it is. You get a little bit of momentum with the wine, and you want to keep the party going. And so I broke into a bottle that was in my office that's been there for a while. I think it was a gift a couple of years ago from a partner or vendor or something like that. Opened that up, and I had another half. So I basically had a full bottle of wine, and I was feeling it. And then all of a sudden, it's like 11:30, and you're like, man, I got to go to bed. And then I'm focused on getting up early the next morning to like work out. And then I got to drive 2.5 hours down to Wildwood. And so it wasn't the best situation, but that's sometimes the issue with drinking wine or drinking anything, especially wine. Wine is very sneaky. It's so good and it's so sneaky, and you had a long, fulfilling day and you're just relaxed. You're on your own and you don't think you're going to pay for that as you're in the moment of it. And you're by yourself, so it feels a little worse. But I'm doing that, and I was like, man, I'm going to bed at 12:30. I set the alarm for 5:30 because my wife was saying how down at the hotel in Wildwood, things were a little tough with the 2 kids, so I better get straight down there. So I'm thinking to myself, if I got to get down there, I got to get up real early so that I'm not up and looking like I'm taking my time leisurely going to the gym while she's struggling down there with the 2 kids and her mom and her grandmother, who's 95. Not a great amount of childcare, sort of the spare tire of childcare, right? You can ride that spare tire. It's a lifesaver when your main tire goes, but don't push it. Don't go too far. And so I had to really set up for that. So I set up to get up at 5:30. Of course, 5:30 came around so quickly, and I'm looking out and it's complete darkness. And I'm like, man, do I really want to kind of jog down to downtown Newark, which is about a 15-minute walk or an 8-minute run? Do I want to go through potentially some perilous areas at this early morning? Or do I want to just kind of figure something else out? So I got all my stuff together and I went down, and I know the gentleman pretty well from all the years I've been here who was doing the overnight shift as the security guard for the building of where our office is. And I said to him, hey, can you get me into, they got like a little sort of executive gym for the building that they had put in a few years ago. And I had a card for the one when it was on the 18th floor, but that card didn't work anymore. So I said, hey, would you be able to get me into this? I said, oh, is there a shower? And he said, oh, yeah, I'll get you in. So he got me into this. I was able to get a decent workout, got a couple of miles in on a run, and then I was able to take a shower. And then I was actually out of the building, getting in my car, 7:30 a.m., headed down to Wildwood. And that was really great. So I kept going. Unfortunately, I lost my Easy Pass. That was a real pain in the butt, having to go all the way down the Parkway without an Easy Pass, because you just had to have the money on hand. You had to stop. You had to, pay your tolls, and it was not convenient. And you're so used to being on sort of autopilot as you head down to the shore, and you're so used to driving through Easy Pass that it kind of made me come to attention each time. I was like, wait, where do I have to go? I'm so used to not going and paying. But did that, stopped on the way down for a Starbucks, got like a super venti vanilla latte, and I think a scone, just enjoying things. And I remember I've been on a little bit of a binge listening of that show, The Rewatchables, the show by Bill Simmons and The Ringer, where they watch old movies or watch current movies, just movies they like, and talk about them for sometimes episodes that go longer than the actual movies were. I can't think off the top. I think I listened to The Town, that episode, but I've enjoyed that show, and it was really good. It was just a nice show to get through. Got down to Wildwood sometime around 10 a.m., I believe, 10:15 maybe. Reacquainted with my family. Really gave the extra hands finally that they were looking for, because things were a little tough. The little kids can be a little tough, even for me, even for my wife. And it takes a lot of bandwidth, and you're on vacation. And my mother-in-law and my wife's grandmother were nice enough to take my 4.5-year-old to sleep up in their suite each night so that we could have Connor in our room, and the two would not cross the streams and wake each other up through the night. So that was a very beneficial happening. But you got down there, and I was actually really looking forward to this trip, of all things, to study. Usually when I go down to the shore to Wildwood, since the time we've had the little kids, it was always the one child up until this year. This is the first year that Connor, our just past 6 months old child, was coming down. But what I would do, and I did not have a problem with this for all these years that we've had Liam down there. We'd go down to the beach in the morning. I would get in a good 45 minutes to an hour, 15 minutes of boogie boarding, which ended up being my workout. When you think of the resistance of the waves and running out to the waves, I feel like I'm Hasselhoff in Baywatch. I would actually make a workout out of it. So I would try to ride a wave in on the boogie board, and then I would turn back around and try to run as hard as I can back out to where I was, 100 feet out into the water. Fighting off the waves and just using the resistance of the water to run against it. And that would be a good workout. And I would just get a good feeling from that, and I'd feel nice and hungry, and I feel like I could look forward to the food festivities that night and drink festivities. So that was always something I enjoyed doing. And then I'd be tired out, and I'd be happy to come back up to the hotel, have my lunch, and then sit in the dark room so that Liam could sleep during the afternoon. I would watch Netflix shows. I'd read articles from my iPad, and that was always fine. A couple hours of doing that. Then you'd come out of it and you'd be ready for basically an early bird dinner, go to that, come back home, bedtime, and rinse and repeat. And everything was fine. I enjoyed it. My wife and I would watch shows at night in the hotel room, and then we'd go to sleep, pleasantly exhausted from a good day. So I never was against doing that. I enjoy it. As I said, with kind of staying overnight here in the office, I find my nook and I maximize it. I enjoy it. I find a lot of enjoyment out of things that other people find are kind of weird. So this year was a little different because we have the two kids, but we were essentially able to do the same thing. Now, I did not have quite the leisure time during the naps. I had to study for 2 finals that were going to be the following Tuesday and Wednesday. So I got down to the shore Thursday morning, and I had to find a way to be studying for 2 major exams. The accounting exam was going to be 40% of the grade, and the marketing exam was going to be 25% of that grade. A lot of material to consume and to remember and to compute, and 2 classes of it. So figuring out the balance of when to study each was tough, but really what I did was, again, maximizing your time. So if Connor, which he often did, would wake up at 5 a.m. and it ended up being that he had an ear infection, as we came to find out. So I think he started having an ear infection down there, so he was not the happiest camper. But he'd get up around 5. I'd get him out of his crib, hand him to Melanie for feeding, and I would get my stuff and I'd go right down to the lobby, and before the little breakfast place opened in the hotel, really nice breakfast place in this Port Royal hotel called the Royal Grill, before that would open, they'd have a big kind of industrial strength Keurig machine out there. So I'd get my Keurig, and 5 a.m., nice views with the sun coming up. The amount of people out at that point is kind of interesting. Sometimes that early morning thing can be a good time of day to leverage if you were able to get the sleep the night before, because nobody's up. Everything's yours. There's really nothing to worry about. You could get reading done. You could get a lot of stuff done before the rest of the world has woken up. But of course I had to study, which I was okay with, but I would go down there, and for about an hour and 15, I'd be able to steal some study time. And I told them coming down on this trip that I was probably going to need 4 to 5 hours of study a day. And they were shocked because they had no idea how that was going to happen. They were like, how is he going to do that? But look, with anything, there's 24 hours in those days, and every day we have, for things that are important, whether we're talking podcasting, whether we're talking the need to study, whether we're talking work, whether we're talking professional aspirations, personal aspirations, there is the time to do it if you can make you just got to make the time. You can't do everything, but you make the time for the things you need to do, and there is enough time. So I'd steal an hour 15 there, then I'd go up, because people would, Liam would start waking, Connor was done feeding, and Melanie had done, had sort of played with him enough. And so I'd do that. Then we'd all go to breakfast, and then Connor would go down for a nap. So I would actually go down and get another hour and a half of study done. And then in the afternoon, I'd get an hour and a half. And so all of a sudden, you're at 4 hours right there. And so I got the studying I needed done per day, and it actually made the vacation a little more enjoyable. Just like I was saying, that I often feel a bit unfulfilled about summer when I don't have a lot to do, when you sort of just have to be left with your own mind and contemplation, and you just don't have the world moving forward, and it just doesn't feel like there's a rush going on. I always feel that way about vacation too. I'm able to get my things done. I'm able to boogie board. I'm able to eat. I'm able to drink. I'm able to consume media. I'm able to watch shows. But it's not the same as actually having real things to do. And that just sort of stabilized my vacation. You would think that's crazy. 4.5 hours of study per day on vacation was something that was enjoyable. It was. And I'll tell you what, I came back from that trip and I continued to stay off until Tuesday and Thursday were done. So I didn't come back to work until Thursday after the exams were over. But I did that, and it was really rewarding because I ended up getting 2 A's. I got an A in marketing and an A in accounting. And so that was almost a little bit of a surprise. I did not expect I was going to do that well in accounting. But you know what? It's funny because I was talking to a girl in my marketing class, and she is in accounting for her profession. But it's all the luck of the draw because she had an accounting class in the spring semester, and she had a legendarily tough teacher. I heard stories about this teacher from several people independently. And this teacher was just so hard on accounting that a lot of the class actually got Fs. And to get Fs in a master's program is almost more of a referendum on the teacher than it is the students. That's just ridiculous. We're all professionals. We're committed. We're disciplined to what we're doing. You should not get anything below a B. I mean, to be honest, you shouldn't. And a lot of reimbursement programs don't give you full reimbursement if you get below a B. So that's actually like a double whammy. Not only do you have an F and you have to dig yourself out of that F, but you're probably not getting reimbursed from your program on that F. So now that however many $1,000 is on your credit card at this point. It's on your ledger. What is it? Goes from an asset to a liability or something like that, if we're thinking of accounting. But this girl who's in accounting said she got a B+ in accounting. And me, who has no idea about accounting, I was struggling the whole time. But I understand the game of things. I understand how to work systems. And I was in a class, and the professor gave us an open book exam. Now, not only an open book exam, but there were 9 questions on the test, and you pick 5. So that's where the give is in these master's programs. You have to do the work. You have to study. But they do things that give you the opportunity to do well. That's how I would probably put it. So, it's a lot of this answer 5 out of the 7 questions, answer 4 out of the 6, answer 4 out of the 7. And then some of them will say if you answer all of them and then you get 5 right on that page out of the 7, you get 100 on that page. So they give you the opportunity to do well. You still have to work and you still have to do your best, but it's a great system. And so in my accounting class, it still took me, and I had to study, even to get my open book aspects in place. I still had to study to be prepared for this open book. 5 questions took me 3 hours. The first question took me an hour and a half because I was almost shocked to be there, and it's all, you got to write by hand all of these accounting things. And, one question, it's not like it took me 3 hours to do 5 answers. Each question is multifaceted. There's a lot of computations you have to do to land at one of the values. And then maybe there are 5 values you have to find in each question. So it was a lot of work, and it kind of knocked me off my feet a little bit starting this thing. And it was funny because our class starts at 6, ends at 9:30, but we could have started taking the test as early as 2:45. So again, another place where they're giving you every opportunity to succeed. So you could have been doing that test forever, but went through it, felt good about it at the end. And let's be honest, folks, for the most part, life is open book. This is not to make excuses for having an open book exam, but especially when you're thinking about accounting, life is open book. It's not off the top of your head to know how to do each thing. It's to learn the stuff so that when it comes time to have to use the principles, you know exactly where to look. You can recall things. You can recognize things to know where to look and to know what to do, and to get nice little pointers on how to manage these kinds of disciplines. So I'm thinking to myself, man, I got an A, and this girl who does this for a living for a major company got a B+. Like, that's the luck of the draw. And I'm sure down the line I'm going to run into teachers where I have the other end of that sword, right? The other end of that double-edged sword where it's going to be tough. But I felt great coming out of this semester getting 2 A's while having 2 kids, one of which was pretty much an infant during this whole period and would get up in the middle of the night, and there was pressure. There's not the time on the weekends to study. Finding the time to carve out to study was very hard, but I did it, and I found a way. And again, when you have things you really want to do well in and that you're passionate about doing, you will find a way to do them. No matter how many obstacles, no matter how many responsibilities you have, you still can do it. Now, consumer media took a big backseat here, right? I wasn't able to read the books that I have in my queue. I wasn't able to read all the articles. I had to listen to a lot of them, especially the New Yorker, which is what I try to read each week. I had to listen to it pretty much each week. So that stuff all takes a back seat. But you're reading a lot of other great things. You're reading a lot of Harvard case studies, Harvard business case studies. You're still consuming a lot of the types of stuff you would be consuming, but just in a different guise. But I've kind of picked up some of my my media consumption back up with the school over, having this about 2.5 weeks. One of which was the Loudest Voice, the Showtime limited series. I think it was 7 episodes about Roger Ailes, based off of the Gabriel Sherman book and articles that were in New York, I believe New York Magazine, starring Russell Crowe as Roger Ailes with all prosthetics and all. He does an unbelievable job. You come to when you watch this show, you keep going to look online, what did Roger Ailes look like? Because you come to believe Russell Crowe is Roger Ailes in his prosthesis. And he did an unbelievable job. I really enjoyed it. It was dark, though. It was very dark. And it gave you a lot of the contemporary feel of why we have somebody like Donald Trump. And it's funny that now he's kind of turning on Fox News a bit, in that they're not telling him everything he wants to hear and being a booster for him at all times. And I think some of that is because Roger Ailes is not around there anymore, because he was very much in Donald Trump's corner. He very much helped, in some ways, elect Donald Trump by feeding that 50% of the country who weren't being served by the other news organizations. So you come to learn a lot about Fox News, about Roger Ailes' history. And what happens is each episode ends up being like a different year. So one episode's 1995, one episode's 2008. And so it deals with a lot of the sexual harassment things. Gretchen Carlson is played by Naomi Watts. Sienna Miller plays Beth Ailes, Roger Ailes' wife. There's just a lot of people in the show, and it's really good. Seth MacFarlane plays like a PR guy for Fox. Really enjoyable show, but in a dark way. You know what I mean? But it was good. I really enjoyed it. And one of the nice things of being a YouTube TV subscriber is in about June, an email went out that said, hey, we're going to be giving you Showtime for free for 4 months. And don't worry, this isn't a gimmick. This isn't, we're not trying to bait and switch you. You'll have it for free for 4 months for being a long-time subscriber. And at the end of the 4 months, it's not going to auto-subscribe. So have it for free. Thank you for being a valued customer. And so I was watching it throughout that interface a lot, which was nice. Now, Showtime is only $7 in general through YouTube TV, which is $3 to $4 less than it is on any other platform to get it for that price. So $7 is not that bad. Now, now that I'm a student, I'm getting so many nice discounts. I can't believe it. Count all the ways. So it's funny because you get all these discounts to consume media, and then you don't have the time to do it anyway. So it's almost like they're giving the discounts because they know that the media is not going to be used or abused in any kind of way because people won't have the time as they're doing all their schoolwork. Now, Showtime, for me, is it comes through this amazing bundle that is made available via Spotify. So by subscribing to Spotify for students, you pay $5 a month. You're then given Showtime, and then you're then given Hulu with ads for $5. If you were to buy those on their own on the market, you're looking at probably $30 a month, $28 to $30 a month. So I'm getting it for $5. So once this YouTube Showtime promotion runs out, I'm just going to move over to the Showtime app. But there is something to be said for subscribing to all of your channels through one platform, because then all of the shows in those channels are made available in one single place, one single interface for you to view them. Right now, I have to remember to jump over to watch certain shows on HBO. I will have to remember when this runs out to jump over to watch something on Showtime, to watch something on Stars. Now, HBO is not a part of YouTube TV already, but that is something that's tough. I like the serendipity of being in one interface and then something pops up to watch because you're subscribed across all of the different services in the one place. That's one of the nice things with the Apple TV app. The prices were not very enticing. They were just the normal price to have HBO, Showtime, Stars. They're all about $10 a piece. I think HBO might be $15 a month, but I wanted them to bundle those for like $15 a month in total, and then that would be cool. But you're able to go into that interface, and then you could see all the things you might want to watch based on what's popular across the whole network, based on the things you like to watch, sort of like you get with Netflix. That's another problem, too, is Netflix is not able to integrate into any of these systems. It's not able to be in Apple TV. It's not able to be in YouTube TV. It's not able to be in anything. So you actually have to go into Netflix to then get the preferences there. This balkanization of consumer entertainment, television entertainment, is tough, video entertainment, because you want the one place that gives you the ability to remember, oh, I was just watching this, oh, I was just watching this, or I might want to watch this. So they're all a little bit lacking in that regard. But it has been nice to have YouTube showing Showtime in it to remember all these shows. And he'll say, oh, you might like these shows. And I go, oh, I forgot about The Affair. I still haven't watched that. Oh, I forgot about Escape from Dannemora. Oh, I forgot about Ray Donovan. And not that I'm going to necessarily watch these, but I forgot that I haven't seen the most recent season of Homeland. So it is nice to have it in the one interface that you can just go to. That was what I liked about having NBA League Pass purchased through YouTube TV, is I would go into YouTube TV and all of my NBA games would just be in there. So I wouldn't have to jump app to app where you can't see into them from one single place. But The Loudest Voice, I would highly recommend it. I thought it was a very well done television show, and it gave you a very educational look into Fox News, why it's so important, why it is so popular, and kind of why it stands in as the de facto news source. You think of going to the gym, you think of going to the local deli, they all have Fox News on. And because I think they believe that it's the same level of news as you get on some of these other platforms. Now, everyone's biased a little bit, but the Fox News bias seems to really be strong. And it gets people excited. It gets people fearful. It gets people angry. It gets people thinking and moving and believing that they're consuming the only source of news. And it has dominated that 50%. Whereas the other 50% might be spread across several networks, whether it's CNN, MSNBC. I don't know if there's any others I'm thinking of, but they just own the 50% of the rest. And that's a big percentage. That's a big silent majority. And that's a majority that was kind of not played, but manipulated, leveraged by Donald Trump. Very interesting aspect there. So yeah, Loudest Voice is good. I finally saw Avengers Endgame, and I really enjoyed it. It was really long, but the story was very good, very intriguing. I enjoyed the time travel aspects, the kind of odes to Back to the Future. I love time travel so much. I just love it. I could have like a modern Back to the Future, to be honest. I think that should be a Netflix series. I think there should be a new one. I want them going back to different timelines. I always liked whenever Doc Brown in Back to the Future would just put in the dates like, oh, we could go to the birth of Christ. Oh, we could go to the signing of the Declaration of Independence. You're like, oh, please do, please do. You know, oh, this is where I remembered the flux capacitor. Like, it just happened to be on that date when the Libyans came. What if it happened to be on the birth of Christ? Now, that would be a whole different movie. It wouldn't make sense. It would go on forever, but I could watch that forever. I love Back to the Future. But I loved in Avengers Endgame the way they were able to bring back all of the characters who had died through the use of time travel, through going back to try to figure out how to get to the Infinity Stones before the major Thanos event happened. Because you're watching the beginning of this Avengers, and sorry, spoiler alerts, I think the whole world's seen it, but the beginning when they chop off Thanos' head, you're like, oh, okay, this is it? How is there 2.5 more hours of a movie? But the time travel brings it to play, and I really enjoyed it, and I don't think you had to have watched the entire Marvel universe of movies to understand what was going on. From what you could tell, there were a lot of odes, but it wasn't necessary, and you still understood what was going on. So I really enjoyed it. And it was actually, I think, the first purchase I had. I got the Apple Card finally. Apple's entry into the credit card market. I was given early access to it. It's now available to everybody, but you sign up for it on your phone through the Apple Wallet app, and then you're pretty much approved immediately. I was approved with an $8,000 line of credit, which I guess isn't enormous because I think I was approved for about $20,000 when I got the Chase Sapphire a couple months ago. I don't even know what it is for Amex, but I wanted to get the Apple Card because I thought it's an Apple product. I love Apple products, and before I knew about a lot of the credit card intel that I've come to know, especially from my first semester of case studies on credit cards, I thought the Apple Card would be the really cool thing for me to get. I've come to find that it's not the best credit card you can get. There's actually many that are vastly superior to it, even when going on a cashback to cashback level. But it doesn't hurt anyone. There's no fees. There's a lot of nice little interesting aspects to it. And without the fees, who cares? Just have it. You know what I mean? So I applied and I got it. And the real thing that they try to push is the fact you get this titanium card. It doesn't even have a number on it and has your name etched in steel or titanium. Is that steel? I don't know. But you just wanted to get it because it looked like it had that Apple gleam. It had that presentation of how it was going to look. And so I wanted to get it. And the thing you come to find is, as beautiful as the card is, you're a chump if you ever use it, because anytime you use the actual physical card, all you get is 1% back. Cash back. So that's not even that great. I mean, 1% is like stock and trade for most cards. I mean, most cards you even get more by default. So there's no way to get more than 1% using the card. If you use Apple Pay on your phone for anything, anytime you could use Apple Pay and use that card when you choose it, you get 2% when you can use Apple Pay. Now, when I went to go pay for my second semester of tuition, I said, oh, I'm going to use the Apple Pay and then I'll get 2% back on, whatever it is, maybe $7,500. So that's a nice number. But I had to plug in the Apple Card numbers, and even though it wasn't the physical Apple Card and it was online, because I plugged in the numbers, it was considered the card, and so I just got 1%. That's still, almost $80, but 160 would have felt a lot different. That's a nicer play. I've also had this idea about just each semester getting a new credit card that has a really good welcome bonus, and then paying for each semester with that new card so that you can reach the welcome bonus automatically. You know what a welcome bonus is. So they'll say, if you spend $5,000 in the first 3 months, you'll get 60,000 points. So I was like, oh, I'll get the card and then I'll pay with my tuition. Right off the bat, I get the 50,000 points. That would be great. So that's something I've almost thought of looking at. But I was like, you know what? I'll do it with the Apple Card or the Apple Pay, because then I could get just the 2% back. That would be really neat. And it falls in under the 8,000 that I'm allowed to spend on the card. But I was a little bummed about getting the 1%. But then it occurred to me what you could do with the Apple Card is where it really pays off is it gives you 3% cash back on anything that's an Apple Store purchase, an Apple online or in person, or Apple Services, Apple Music, App Store. And so that's where I decided to use it. So you can make this Apple Card be your default for anything that's an Apple purchase. And then anytime you're purchasing in that environment, if in that ecosystem, you're going to get 3% back. So that's a nice little thing. So that's what actually made me choose to purchase Avengers Endgame or rent it from iTunes. And I used the Apple Card. I got 3% back. Hey, it was 20 cents, but you know what? It's something, right? And the cool thing with the Apple Card is each day it tells you your cash back. It's daily cash back. So it'll be like, 20 cents. 50 cents. If I were using it all the time for every purchase, that would be different. But I did use it for that, and I do have it defaulted as my Apple Services card. So that's really the only place I'll ever use it. Now, there is word that they will come out with partnerships. So maybe they'll say, oh, there's a credit on this if you use Uber. Oh, you'll get this cash back, 2 times cash back if you. So you got to look out for those. That's where things really can pay. You got to pay attention to the offers, right? So if you have a credit card, you go into the app, you go on the website for that credit card, and you want to see the offers that they're presenting, because you really could stand to make a lot in points if you leverage that card against the right purchases. So I've become a weird credit card points addict. So in the time since this whole evolution started, when the Apple Card was coming out, that was the first thing that made me think about a credit card. I always had the Amex green card, which only gives you 1 point for everything you buy. And it's got like a $95 annual fee. It doesn't give you much more. It just accumulates points on a 1-to-1 basis. It does have offers, but it's just not an amazingly impactful card for what it gives you, other than allowing you to pay for things in the moment, right? And to allow you to ostensibly time shift your money. So you don't have to worry about what's in your account at any one time, because you just have to worry about when the credit card payment comes due, that you have enough at that time to pay for it. And there's a lot of things that say, I saw an article today, you never should really buy anything with a debit card, because when you buy something with a debit card, it's pulling your money out of your account immediately. If someone hacks that card and they get all of your money, who's really going to fight to claw back your money? It's your money at that point and it's gone. If you use a credit card, it's putting the credit card on the line to put that money out. So the credit card is paying for those services. So if it's hacked, it's not your money yet. It's the credit card's money. So they're going to fight with you on their behalf to make you whole and to not let you get, to not have your bank account cleared by nefarious purchases or any hacks like that. So you really should always use a credit card, to be honest. But when in this semester in the marketing class, we did we read a Harvard-based case study, business school case study, on the Chase Sapphire card, and this was the card that came out handful of years ago, and it tried to get millennials. It tried to really build a card based on experiences, which is what millennials really like. And what it did is, for the most part, it gives you a certain amount of points based on certain purchases. So it could be travel, it could be food, and it could be 2 times points if you have like a preferred, or it could be 3 times points if you have a reserve card. Now the fees could be like $250 a year for the preferred, and that's why you're only getting 2 times points, or it could be $400 something if you have the reserve, but you're getting 3 times. Now you got to look at all the little perks of the card. So the reserve has a $300 travel credit. So in July, when we went up to 1,000 Islands and we booked an Airbnb, say the Airbnb was $1,200 for the 4 days, it immediately had $300 taken off of that via that annual travel credit. So that's nice money back. So if you have 400 something of an annual fee, 300 is already getting eaten off the top via that travel credit. And if you really pound the pavement for points, you can really make up for that fee anyway. But the fee gives you the right to leverage purchases against points. And points are really what's in play, because you add up those points and then you get a welcome bonus, right? Like I think the welcome bonus for the reserve that I had was spend $3,000 in 2 months and you get 50,000 points. That's only a one-time thing, but it's a nice infusion of points. And then if you go and purchase experiences or goods through the Chase website, sort of Chase Marketplace website, points mean more in money there versus when you use the points outside of that service. So they might mean 50% more. So you can really get nice experiences out of just your normal everyday buying. I feel like I'm a proselytizer of a pyramid scheme or something, but I got into this and I really came to understand the premise of this and how it would be something that really would, sort of play along with the things I really enjoy. I enjoy systems. I enjoy kind of getting value out of research and all that. So I got the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And so anytime I would buy food, I'd get 3 times points. If I got a coffee for $2, I'd get 6 points off of that. If I got a diner meal for my family that we would get delivered, it would be $50, and then you get 150 points. So the points accumulate a lot. Then the other thing is you go into the offers of Chase and it'll say, go to this restaurant and you can get 2 times more points. So all of a sudden it's 5 times points on purchases. So you actually change your spending habits and you change your eating habits based on what offers are available. It might be a slight tweak in what you normally do, but you're almost going, hey, I could eat that and I'll get the points. You never would have thought to do that. So I did that and it was really working out and I enjoyed it. I got my bonus. I like it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep this going. I went up to my summer home on that aforementioned trip that I paid with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I went up to my summer home and I was walking the main street at French Festival with my brother. And he goes, hey, were you the one telling me about the credit cards? I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, I just upped to the American Express Gold card. He pulled it out. And I was like, you know what? That's a beautiful card. I just love American Express. I don't know if it's because that's just what I grew up on. The Chase Sapphire Reserve is a beautiful card, absolutely, but it doesn't feel like the Amex Gold or the Amex Platinum. But the Amex Platinum wasn't for me. The fee is huge, and it's a travel card. All the points are based on travel. It's like 5 times points on travel. I'm not a big traveler, but you know what I am? We're big eaters. We're big eating out. We're big takeout. We're big, obviously, like any other family in groceries. And so the Amex Gold card is golden when you do those things. Amex Gold gives you 4 times points on anything that's a food purchase. 4 times points. So that coffee I got for $2 is now 8 points. that coffee and scone or coffee and wrap I get that gets $8, you're at $32 versus 24, or 32 points versus 24 on the Chase Sapphire. So that one-time point is just better overall. And so now I'm carrying a Chase Sapphire Reserve, an Amex Gold, my Apple Card came. So you sort of have all these cards and you're figuring out what the best place to use them is. So I kind of fell on the Apple Card is going to be my Apple's ecosystem card, because I'll get that 3% on everything. Get some daily cash back there. Why not? The Amex Gold is my everyday food thing. So up to $25,000 in a year, you get 4 times points on groceries. That's a lot. So like my wife did a grocery order this weekend. We always would like split our grocery orders on 2 cards. This time I'm like, no, use my gold card. So if we have a $200 grocery order, I'm getting 800 points on that. That's unbelievable. Before I was just getting 200. So that's a huge infusion of points. And then by the way, you go into the offers on Amex and Amex Gold. Their offers are way more extensive than the Chase's. I think Amex is starting to pull back ahead versus Chase. Now, I still use the Chase Reserve card because it is a travel card. The highest level card in the mix of cards for personal use sort of go cashback, food, and then travel. That just sort of seems to be the continuum. And then on top of it, it's just a certain amount of points you get at certain levels, right? So I still have the Chase Reserve as a really good travel card because I get that $300 credit each year. I still have points in it. I still have the welcome bonus for now. And the other place I use it is, if anybody who has an Amex knows, not everybody accepts American Express. It's just not accepted everywhere. So by having that Chase card, I can always use that as the stand-in for those times, for those instances where Amex is not accepted and Visa almost invariably is accepted. And so at least I'm still getting 3 times points on a purchase that Amex wasn't allowed on. So I use it for those situations, and then I use it for travel, for that travel credit. Because the Amex, I'll tell you, the offers are tremendous. I was in this Amex card, and I just almost love looking at my points totals. You're getting 4 points, 4 points. It feels like you're in a video game where you're just killing it on the bonus points, right? And so everything I buy, that the normal things I was doing before, just getting my coffee, is just yielding points. Getting our meals, getting our takeout meals, getting our, to go pick up our meals, getting our dinner out. It's great. The other thing the Amex Gold Card has, it has $120 in credits on certain restaurant experiences. Now that 120 breaks down to $10 a month over the 12 months. So each month you'll get a $10 credit if you use a certain thing. So Grubhub's in it, Seamless is in it, Shake Shack's in it, I think Cheesecake Factory, Ruth's Chris. So as long as you're hitting one of those things, and probably Seamless or Grubhub is going to have a normal thing that you order out each month anyway. So if one of those times you just make sure to order it through Grubhub as opposed to call the place directly, yes, the Grubhub will have a little bit of a surcharge on top of the things, but you'll get the $10 credit. So that ends up being a really good thing. But the offers are cool. So it'll say, up until the end of September, BP and Amoco purchase. So if you purchase your gas, you'll get 2 times extra points on that. Now, in typical times, you're not getting any points except the 1-to-1, so you just get 1-time points on the gas station purchase. But when you go to the BP Amoco, which I've been doing religiously and exclusively, you're getting those 2 times points every time. So that $24 to fill up your tank is now worth like, what's it, 72, because you get the 48 for the 2 times, and then you get the 24 for the actual 1-to-1 points. When I was driving to one of my exams, I was looking on the Amex offers. And so this was the day I wasn't at work, right, because I kept my vacation going. And so I looked in the offers, and it was like, oh, Olive Garden is giving 2 times extra points on top of the 4 times. And so I said, oh, I'll do Olive Garden. So that $20 purchase, which was, by the way, an unbelievably robust meal. My thing is, whenever I get Italian, I always end up just getting chicken parm, because I get Italian so infrequently, and most of the time Italian ends up being a pizza order, right? But I get it so infrequently that by the time I get it and it's a non-pizza order, I just always get chicken parm. I wish I could eat a little more so I could get some healthier things, but I got the chicken parm meal, which is really big. Most chicken parms are absurdly big. I had the penne with it, and then they give you the nice Olive Garden salad and the breadsticks. If you have it in the store, it's unlimited, but there it was like a really robust meal. $20, 120 points because it was 6 times points with the 4 times and then the 2 times extra. So there's just little things you can do that really leverage point systems. Another one, case in point, it said if you spend $250 at Best Buy or bestbuy.com, you'll get 2,500 points. That's 10 times points. And so I realized I was in the market for new AirPods, and I thought, I could get them on Amazon for less, but I won't get the points. Or I could get them at Best Buy, order it online, go to pick it up. So they're $200, right? With the newer AirPods with the charging case, which I like, which you can just charge wirelessly. I like this. So I was going to get that, but I'm at $200 now, right? So then I figured, you know what I could do to reach the dollar level I have to get to? I'm going to get a $100 Google Play gift card. So you could have just bought $250 worth of gift cards and gotten 2,500 points on your credit card. And you say, why Google Play gift card? Well, I buy that $100 gift card and then I put it against my Google account. My cable provider is YouTube TV. So I just told YouTube TV to use the Google gift card for the next 2 months to pay the $50 subscription cost for 2 months. So I'm turning in what are normal payments for me and using systems to get the points. Yesterday I saw Bed Bath & Beyond spend $25 and get 500 points. That's a pretty big jump. So I go to Best Buy or bedbathandbeyond.com and I'm like, oh, what can I get? Keurigs? I don't know. And I was like, oh, I make pancakes every Sunday for my family. We need a new skillet. I got a $25 skillet. Boom, 500 points. So you just really can leverage these things. And then at the end of the day, I've added an absurd amount of points to my Amex. I can now go into Amex Travel. I can now pay with points at certain places like Amazon. But the travel thing is the key. And you got to purchase the travel through that credit card issuer's site. So it'll be Amex Travel. And they'll just tell you how many points it is to get a couple of nights stay at a hotel. I was even looking at going to New York and staying at like the Plaza Hotel or something. That would basically eat up all the points. But hey, I would never stay there, And then what they do is Amex then is able to drive deals with those hotels or travel experiences. So the cost is a percentage lower than it would be anyway. And then the points mean even more. So it is really an interesting thing to play with the points. I mean, it is just it's a fun thing. So the only other 2 things I would say, Succession having just an unbelievable progression into season 2. It's a show I have to watch. It's like a Game of Thrones show. I have to watch it that night when it comes out. It's that good if I could stay up. Succession is as good, I think, in my sensibilities as television can be. It is so good. Comedic, drama, business, interpersonal, family aspects. I just get a lot of feelings from this show. It is my favorite. The other one, Mindhunter, I'm pretty deep into season 2. That's a good show too. I've always thought with that show, I'm not sure how much I love it or not, but I love it. It's a good show. You got to stick with it. It's good though. Really good. So Mindhunter, Succession, and The Loudest Voice. Those are my recommendations for TV. Again, we'll look towards some sports discussions coming. I hope the Mets season isn't over now after dropping, 5 in a row across the Cubs and was it the Braves? They've fallen out of things. They're only 2 games over 500. But, I was looking back on my Facebook memories, and 4 years ago, which was the year the Mets went to the World Series, I was at a game in late August, and I put the note up and I said, is another Harvey start going to be wasted by the bullpen? And it was. And I remember feeling a similar pang of, man, the Mets just aren't going to pull it off. And they did. They were able to pull through, get themselves through, and the pitching staff honed in and went straight through to the World Series. They unfortunately lost to the Royals there. But the baseball season is so long that you're just never out of it until you're out of it. It's so long. There's so much time to get back up off the mat. There's so much time for another team to go into a deep dive while you go on a streak. Just as quickly as the Mets were amazing, it now looks like they're out of it, but it's not September yet. You just never know. It's so long. It's a legit 6-month season. So there's still 1/6 of the way to go. And I'm still buckled in, hoping they can do this. But, man, baseball's tough. Thanks, folks. I'll talk to you later.